All right, folks. So I've taken chicken quarters and I've cut them in half, as you can see. On the bottom here, I've washed some new baby red potatoes. I've cut them in half. I put the cut half on the bottom side and, lined underneath the chicken here. And then I topped those with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and thyme and fresh, really finely minced rosemary. And then I salted and peppered the bottom pieces of the chicken, laid them on top. And then I've gone and poured some red, I've stabbed each chicken piece and then I've poured red wine on top of them. And then used my oil sprayer here for the top. And I'm going to salt and pepper the chicken, and I'm gonna add garlic powder and parsley and chives and onion powder and poultry seasoning and oregano and thyme, and I'm going to use basil, poultry seasoning, Italian seasoning, some smoked paprika, and some super finely chopped up rosemary and sage. And yes, I am making a red wine herbed chicken. And then, you get all those seasonings on and then you bake them in the oven. Mm-mm-mm. So this is the chicken on top of the baby red potatoes, all dressed and ready to go, as you can see. So now the next thing that I'd be moving on to, we'll just put a lid on that. That'll be ready for the oven. Now what I've done is I've cut up some Calabrese, and now for this particular stuffing, you need to use the Calabrese, Italian Calabrese bread. It's, it's this one here. It's got like the crusty top. Sometimes it's round, this kind of bread, I mean, this stuff makes amazing toast, just by the way. But anyways, so I've cut them up in small pieces. I've also cut up one white onion. I cut the pieces fairly small because, I'm going to be cooking this. It's not like it's going in a bird or anything. And I've also cut up 2 ribs of celery. Same, again, small pieces. You know what I mean? So, and then I super finely chopped the leaves of a sprig of fresh rosemary, and I cut up a couple leaves of fresh sage. I've put parsley in this, chives. I've got poultry seasoning in this, and garlic powder and salt and pepper. And what I've done here is I've grated up some Havarti cheese and some nice mozzarella cheese. And I've got some Parmesan cheese here that I'm going to add to this and mix it around. But I must tell you, Mama Louisa, she's a wonderful, beautiful woman. God rest her soul. May she rest in peace always. Loved her so much. But she taught me how to make this Italian bread and cheese Calabrese stuffing. So, and for it to be legit, you need to have grated Fontina and Friulano cheese. But I'm just using whatever I have here and hoping for the best. Obviously, it's not going to be exact, but whatever. That's fine. We'll just work with what we have. And then this is the pan I'm going to cook it in. Now I've got a bunch of butter in here. So I'm just going to give it a zip in the microwave just until it's melted. Then I'm going to make some chicken broth and add that to it. And then I'm going to whip a couple eggs up, and I'm going to mix them all together. And after this cheese is in here, all that gets mixed together with the eggs and everything. and then gets put in the pan here ready to be covered and baked. So as you can see, I've got all the cheeses incorporated and mixed well. I melted the butter. I just wanted it so it was, liquid. You don't want it too hot because you don't want to cook the eggs when you add them in. And I've got my chicken broth here that I'm just going to add a bit of this into and whisk it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack a couple eggs in here and possibly add more broth. And then it's going to be pouring over this. And I'll show you what it looks like after I mix it all together. Okay, so I got everything well incorporated and moistened and put into the pan. And everything's mixed thoroughly. You want it like wet, but not too wet, right? And if you have leftover broth, which I do, you can just make the chicken gravy and stuff with it anyways, right? So now I'm going to set the oven to 375, and I'm going to put these both in, and I'm going to cook this till it's browned on the top. Obviously, I'm going to cook the chicken till it's all finished out and everything. First, I'm going to do it with the lid on. Keep all that moisture in there. Try to get the chicken cooked properly internally. And then I'll take the lid off and get the nice crust on the skin. So here we have it, the finished product with the chicken and everything. And there's the potatoes. So I took the potatoes from out under the chicken and I poured the juices in here and I made a gravy. And then I crisped up the chicken a bit. And no, that's not burnt, that's just seasoning. And then I've got the Italian bread and cheese stuffing here, and I whipped up some carrots. So yeah, everything is wonderful. So there's the end result of that. Yummy, yummy. I'm gonna dip into this now.